Hey guys, what's up? And girls? Alright, it's Double Deuce back. Today it's Cison engine day and transmission. We got some upgrades, and I mentioned in one of my last videos I was going to kind of go over and show you guys what I bought, what I've accomplished, and then we got the gearbox. So we're going to go over the gearbox today and some of the upgrades. So grab your favorite smoke, beverage, and popcorn and hang out with Double Deuce today. You might need a couple of beverages because it might be a long video, because I'd like to show you guys the details of that gearbox. It's pretty nice and it's very simple. So alright guys, let's do it. Okay, so here's what we got. We got the gearbox in there. You can see I already took the lower plate off of it because I wanted to look inside. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta look inside, you know. And it's all hardened gears and all this stuff. It's a dry clutch system. So that's my first rodeo on that. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I'll let you guys know. So, but the name of it is actually automatic clutch manual transmission. Okay, it's got reverse, first, second, and third gear. It's got a transfer case with a high and low feature, and so we're going to get that. We'll open that up and check it out. But first, the Cison V8. Okay, this here actually goes for the gearbox. I bought the brass pump gears, and I'm going to have to get some more because I forgot the water pump is a two-stage. It's got multiple gears in it. Then I bought an extra starter gear setup because I've already blown one gear out because I had the timing advanced too far, and when I went to start it, it kicked back and sheared the teeth right off. Then I got this really cool looking fan shroud for the radiator, but it doesn't fit this radiator, so I'm going to have to make a mounting plate for it. And I got the fan assembly. Now this thing actually pushes some air. I had a little mishap with it. I was testing the speed of it, you know, and I had a rag set in here, and the rag sucked right into the thing. That's how much air this thing moves. I was totally amazed, and it chipped a couple of the fan blades because it hit pretty hard, and so I'm gonna have to get another fan. That was my bad. And I did get my air cleaner on it with my foam adapter. Everything works fine with that, and so I don't even have to choke this thing. You just crank it until the fuel gets there, and you know. So I kind of permanently tacked the top of the air cleaner on there, but I can remove the filter because I cut a piece of the foam out that we were talking about in the other video there. You know, I just cut some off the bottom there, that really thin stuff, and I put that in there, and it worked fine. So, all right, let's get to the gearbox now. I'm going to turn you guys this way. We're going to open this thing up because this thing is pretty cool. Oh, one thing to note, the fan shroud sets up against the fan. It doesn't set inside it. And I kind of wished it did, because for safety reasons and things like that. Now, over here, first off, there's a servo and a bracket and some hardware that actually goes to the side you put on yourself. Here, this is your high and low here. The servo goes right here, and so you're going to need, so far I figured out, at least 5 channels to run the engine. The brake has a nice disc brake right on the back of it, and that way there, because there's 2 servos here, you have 1 there, so there's 3 just for the shifting capabilities and your high and low transfer case. And usually your throttle servo, you can put that in conjunction with this, so when you know, let off your throttle, it'll brake. And everything's totally adjustable on this thing. So they have it preset. So forward would be your reverse gear. You'll see it here turning. And then there's first, there's second, and there's third. So there's two little arms here with springs that actually ship this. And it also features dual outlets. So if your axles are clockwise or counterclockwise, you just use one or the other. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some little black plugs, plug over them so you don't see them. Now, your gear here mounts right to the back of your engine, right here, with a little slave shaft on there, which they give you here. Oh, that's for this. I know it's here somewhere. There it is, at the bottom. Get this out too, this bell housing. This bell housing is really nice. You know, it's like the quality of the case is just astronomical. So here's your gear. Here's your adapter right here. Sorry for the light. I'm trying to turn this a little bit so it isn't as, so you can see it. The gear adapter and your hardware bag with everything to put it together. Now I removed this bottom plate because I wanted to see inside it. So it's kind of an intricate thing because I don't know how they got these set screws in here. They must have used an Allen wrench and turned them, you know, quarter turn at a time. But when you look inside it, I don't know if you can get some light in there, you'll see that it's all hardened steel gears. And I'm glad I took the front half off. So this thing is not waterproof at all. It takes no oil. It runs dry. And you might be able to waterproof it, but from what I've seen here in the front, I don't think you'll be able to. But I was glad I took this off, because when you put your pinion screw from your pilot shaft on your engine crankshaft, it kind of sets in like this, you know. So you don't know how far the depth's going to be to here. But if you remove the plate on the bottom, you'll be able to perfectly line up your pinion gear with the drive gear. That way you're not, it's not in too far, it's not out too far. If it's in too far, it's going to jam everything up. So, but the quality of the case of this gearbox is stunning. They really did a nice job on this. I mean, you look at this thing. You know, it reminds me of the Tamiya Bruiser 3-speed tranny, except it's a little longer, not by much, but I think the Tamiya is about here. But this has the case on the back, and the Tamiya doesn't have a high and low, you know, transfer case on it. This does. And the Tamiya don't have a brake. This does. So I am excited about putting this together, mounting it to this. Now, however, it adds a lot of length to your build. By the time that you put your bell housing on, and then you add this to the back, you've got some length here. So when I get it all together, I'm going to give it kind of a test run, and then we're going to measure the length and go from there. But it hangs down a little bit lower than the oil pan, so you know, that's something you have to work into your build. And it's going to put some weight on it too. I also bought this lower engine bracket. I highly suggest getting one of these. because it's just, you know, very difficult to mount, even though it looks just like a small block Chevy with the three holes here for your motor mount. You could make those if you want, but it hangs there, and so there's not going to be much, you know, support there. But also underneath, it's got tapped holes and some drill holes underneath there, so you can mount it on a plate and mount it in your build so much easier. And being the gearbox is hooked directly to it, you know, you're not mashing up gears or, you know, clutch housings or nothing. And I did notice on the back here, there's two holes here where you can actually make a cross member here for your frame and mount it. So, because I'm thinking this is going to be like a ladder style frame instead of a flat pan, because the flat pan you're going to have to cut holes for the, you know, the drive shaft to fit, and your engine's going to set up way too high if you decide not to do that and you just run them in within the pan, you know. So, but with the scale, and we finally have a complete setup for our engines, and it's mated and matched for this engine right here. Now I imagine down the road somebody crafty will come up with some kind of a mounting bell housing for the Toyin V8. You know, that would be cool, because basically this is ready to roll. You just need some kind of an adapter for it. And a lot of us guys were begging for a gearbox, you know, because we've been using, well, I started off and it was like a trend that went around the world, was the Traxxas gearbox with the 2 speeds and had the brake on it. And, you know, those, everybody jumped on the bandwagon and used them. And, you know, I've used some of the Kyosho nitro ones too, but they're very small and very weak, and but they're a 2-speed, you know, gearbox anyway, and I've put them on my builds too. So, you know, but when you get it together, it actually looks like it's going to be a really high-end, nice combination. But that's my view on that. You know, like I say, it's just between this and the gearbox, we have something complete now, and I am just tickled pink about it. Because we spend so much time building something, you get an engine that runs great, and then all of a sudden you spend sometimes months on a gearbox, you know, and you know, you don't get the gears right, you know, because this is all like an experiment, you know, when we're building a build. Now this thing here, the transmission itself, or gearbox, whatever you want to call it, they give you directions on how to put your gear in. They tell you what hardware to use. You know, when you made it up, here's your springs for your shift points. You know, they tell you not to mount it yet till you center your servos with your radio. That way they're even on the other side. It's just an arm that goes back and forth, so you don't want to burn out your servo. Now this thing has some really nice metal servos with it too, so I think that's going to help in you know, the static we get back from the spark plugs and all that stuff. It's not going to be jumping all over the place. And you being this is all going to be one piece, you will be able to put rubber isolators, you know, on the cross member in here on your frame, you know, to cut down the vibration. And anybody noticed if you had a nitro car, sometimes they would run and the wheels are jacking all over the place and the throttle's all over the place, because it's just interference from the vibration on the radio. So now we'll get to the transmission. Main speed is first gear is 3.27, second 1.85, third is 1.08, and reverse is 3.23. And you got your transfer case ratio. High is 2.2, low is 0.9. And let's see, actual output speed ratio, main body speed times transfer speed. It just tells you, and they give you your low case transfer case gearing and your high speed transfer case ratio. So, you know, it looks like they got all the bases covered there, where we don't have the option to change ring and pinion gears in our axles as much. I know, like RC 4-wheel drive on their 10 scale stuff, they do have different gears you can install in their axles, but it's only like 1 or 2 options. Where you start getting into bigger stuff like 8 scale and, you know, 1/6 scale, and most of the time we're going to be using 1/8 scale gears, because that's usually what they put into the 1/6 scale belts, you know. So, but like I say, this is this. I'll get everything together, and I'll give you guys kind of a rundown on, you know, what I think of it. I mean, like I say, the dry clutch thing, it looks like there's multiple clutch discs in here from what I could see when I took the bottom cover off. And, you know, if I don't want to take the servo off because it looks like that'll be a real pain, but to take the servo out, you'll be able to see they're like kind of like an automatic transmission, where they're like, looks to me like there's at least 2 clutch discs in between like 3 plates. So when you put the pressure on these here, it smashes them together like an automatic transmission. And the automatic transmission has like clutch material on these rings with teeth, and it looks like almost the same thing, but they say to use it dry. Now, one other thing I thought of, okay, if say, because, you know, what would happen if it slips because you're not getting enough spring tension? You could always change the spring, you know, and put something a little stiffer on it, or you can change the location of the spring. You see, you can change, they give you multiple holes here, and they give you multiple holes on your servo horn. So you'll be able to mess with the spring rates on it. Depends on how heavy your build is, how big your tires are. Like I say, when I seen this, it was very well thought through, and you know, it's definitely worth it. So, but you know, I want to thank Sterling Kit for, you know, my order here, because it's, you know, like I'm still waiting for a starter motor for my Ingemoore V8, which I hopefully think it'll fit the V12, because I cannot keep starter motors in that V12. It's just so tight. I actually put in a 22 kV running on 22 volts and got the thing started. So hopefully, you know, it kind of freed it up enough where I will be able to put that other starter motor on it and do something with that big V12, because that thing's pretty awesome. And you know, it's like I see right now on Facebook they got your V12 builds, you know, with the Ingemoore V12. So, you know, I want to get mine up and running so I can try to do something with that one next, and you know, we'll see how it goes. But like I say, also, you know, get on sterlingkit.com. I'll put the links down below, you know, for some of this stuff here that I got, and you guys can look through there. But if you need parts for stuff like this, search the engine, and then just keep going down through the different pages, and they have all the available parts. That's how I found the fan shroud, the fan, these gears, the pump gears, and the starter housing with the new gear. And, you know, it's just a lot of things. Actually, the mount, I found all that stuff on there, and I just made a big order and got it all. So, anyways, guys, you know, put your comments down below, because they read them. And like I said, I've been picking away at getting back with, you know, answering all your questions and comments, because without you, there would really be no me. And I appreciate every subscriber out there, and I appreciate every question, whether it's a, you know, a little funny comment or joke or whatever. It's still, you know, it's still funny, and I enjoy it. So, okay, guys, like, share, subscribe if you want. Loved all, and I'll catch you later, man. Adios.